One of the great illusions in life is that success can be achieved without sacrifice. That somehow, if you wish hard enough, or stay busy enough, or speak the right words, success will come knocking. But let me tell you what I learned early. Success doesn't respond to wishes, it responds to payment. It responds to discipline, to effort, to long hours when nobody's watching. There's a price tag on every dream. And the question isn't if you'll pay, the question is, are you willing? I remember when I first started out, I didn't have much. Grew up on a farm, modest roots, modest dreams. But I had one thing, a hunger, a desire to change my circumstances. And then I met a man who looked me in the eye and said, if you want things to change, you have to change. That was the beginning. But oh, it came with a price. I had to give up ease. I had to trade late nights for early mornings, entertainment for education. I had to invest in books when I didn't even have money for good clothes. But I paid the price because I finally understood the rules. You don't get what you want, you get what you deserve. And what you deserve is directly tied to what you're willing to exchange for it. Time, energy, attention, even old habits. You want a better life? Then trade your old life for it. You want wealth? Trade your laziness, your distractions, your excuses. Even the old philosophers knew this truth. Epictetus said, if you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because growth has a price. Pride must be traded for humility, comfort for uncertainty, rest for effort. You see, life is like a vending machine. It doesn't accept wishes, only coins. And when you put in the right amount, success is dispensed. Not before, not on credit, only when you've paid in full. It's a simple truth, but one that defines the course of our lives. We will all experience pain. The difference is whether we choose the pain that leads us forward or the pain that holds us back. Discipline and regret, those are the two options. One asks for effort now, the other demands sorrow later. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. I learned this the hard way. There was a time in my early years when I let things slide. I postponed the important, chased the convenient. I thought, there's always tomorrow. But tomorrow turned into months, and those months turned into quiet regrets. I remember looking at my empty bank account and blaming circumstances. But it wasn't the economy. It wasn't my background. It was the quiet accumulation of days without discipline. And let me tell you, that realization was heavier than any weight I'd ever lifted. Eventually, I made a new choice. I chose the pain of discipline, getting up earlier, reading instead of watching, planning my day instead of drifting through it, saying no to some pleasures so I could say yes to a better future. And at first, yes, it was uncomfortable. Growth always is. But discomfort is a small fee to pay compared to the crushing cost of regret. The great poet Hesiod once said, if you add a little to a little and do this often, soon the little will become great. That's discipline. It's not about grand gestures. It's about consistency. It's about doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like it. And here's the remarkable part. The more you choose discipline, the lighter it becomes. What once felt hard becomes habit. What once needed willpower becomes who you are. But regret grows heavier with time. It visits you late at night, reminding you of what you could have been, what you could have done, if only you had chosen differently. So the next time you're faced with the choice to act or to delay, to commit or to coast, remember this. One kind of pain builds you. The other breaks you. Choose wisely. Success is often pictured as a destination, a prize waiting at the end of a long road. But what I've come to understand through my own journey is that the true value isn't in reaching the goal. It's in the person you become along the way. The journey shapes you far more than the destination ever could. When I started, I thought success was about money, status, or recognition. But I quickly found that those things come and go. What lasts is the strength you build in your character, the discipline you cultivate, and the wisdom you gain from struggle. I recall those early days when I faced setbacks that would have discouraged any man without the right mindset. It was the persistence to keep going, the refusal to quit, that built something far greater than any bank balance. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, once reminded us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every challenge, every obstacle isn't a dead end, but a stepping stone shaping your resolve. The journey forces you to learn patience, to endure hardship, and to grow beyond your former limits. For example, I remember a time when I was working tirelessly on a small business, investing every spare hour into learning and improving. The goal seemed distant, almost unattainable at times. But what changed me was not simply achieving the goal, but the daily decisions, the sacrifices, and the growth I experienced. That growth gave me confidence and character, qualities no one can take away. If you focus solely on the prize, you risk missing the greatest gift, transformation. Success is less about what you get and more about what you become. It's the person who endures the journey, who embraces the process with all its trials, who ultimately triumphs. So keep your eyes on the road, commit to the climb, and trust that the journey itself is your true reward. There's a temptation to look for shortcuts, to believe that success is the result of one big break, one lucky moment, or a sudden burst of inspiration. But the truth is far simpler and far harder. Success is earned through consistent effort, day after day. Consistency is the currency with which achievement is bought. I've learned this from my own life. Early on, I realized that talent without habit would get me nowhere. It was the daily disciplines, the small acts repeated over and over, that built the foundation for everything I achieved. Reading a little each day, setting goals and reviewing them regularly, working steadily toward improvement. These were the bricks in my house of success. Think of it like planting a seed. You don't water it once and expect to harvest the next day. You water it consistently, patiently, sometimes without seeing any immediate results. But over time, that seed grows roots, sprouts, and finally bears fruit. The same is true for any worthwhile endeavor. Aristotle captured this perfectly when he said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Excellence doesn't come from occasional efforts. It's the product of persistent, dedicated action. For example, when I was building my business and speaking career, there were days when progress felt invisible. Yet, I kept writing, kept learning, kept showing up. The momentum was slow at first, but each day's work compounded. Eventually, the cumulative effect transformed my life. It wasn't magic, it was consistency. If you want success, don't wait for motivation to strike or for conditions to be perfect. Build the habit of consistent action. That steady rhythm, maintained over time, will carry you past obstacles and bring you closer to your goals than any quick fix ever could. Setbacks, they're often seen as failures, as signs that maybe we're not cut out for success. But what I've learned both from my own experience and the wisdom passed down through the ages, is that setbacks are not punishments. They are payments. They are the installments you must pay on the journey to something greater. When I was starting out, there were times when it felt like everything was working against me, bills piling up, doors closing, people doubting me. In those moments, it was tempting to quit, to say, maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah.
But then I reminded myself that every successful person I admired had walked through storms, faced rejection, and endured hardship. Those setbacks were their tuition, the price they paid to learn the lessons that success demands. Take Thomas Edison, for instance. Before he invented the light bulb, he failed thousands of times. When asked about his failures, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Each failure was a necessary installment. Each misstep, a teacher showing him the path forward. For my own life, I remember a period when I was struggling in business. Friends advised me to quit, creditors called, and self-doubt crept in. But I realized setbacks are not walls. They are hurdles. How you respond to them makes all the difference. If you see setbacks as part of the price, as payments that buy experience and resilience, you stop fearing them. You embrace them. You keep moving forward. As we come to the close of this conversation, I want you to carry one truth with you. Success is never free. Every achievement,
All you wanted.
in a day, but they dramatically underestimate what they can do in 6 months. 6 months. That's what we're going to talk about today. How you can absolutely transform your life in the next 180 days. Now, why 6 months? Let me tell you why. A year is too long to wait, and a month is too short to see meaningful change. But 6 months, that's the sweet spot. It's long enough to see massive results, but short enough to keep you excited and engaged. Isn't that interesting? You know what fascinates me? Most people spend more time planning their next vacation than planning their life. They'll spend hours choosing a hotel, but won't spend 30 minutes designing their future. Isn't that incredible? But you're different. You're here today because something inside you knows it's time for a change. Let me ask you something. If you continue doing exactly what you're doing right now, where will you be 6 months from today? Same job, same income, same problems, same excuses? You see, what you don't change, you choose. Let that sink in for a moment. The beautiful thing about a 6-month plan is that it gives you something I call realistic urgency. You can't procrastinate because 6 months will be here before you know it, but you also have enough time to make substantial changes. It's the perfect balance. Now let me share with you the fundamental principles of transformation. You see, success. Hopefully by the time we finish tonight, you'll have your money's worth. But I think I have a bigger responsibility. If you want to be wealthy and happy the rest of your life, just learn this lesson well. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. I have found in my experience that income does not far exceed personal development. Now, sometimes income takes a lucky jump, but sure enough, unless you grow out where it is, it'll usually come back where you are. Life has strange ways. If somebody hands you $1 million, best you become a millionaire quickly, so you get to keep the money. Otherwise, sure enough, it'll disappear. Somebody once said, if you took all the money in the world, divided it up equally among everybody, it would soon all be back in the same pockets. Success is something you attract, not something you pursue. So instead of going after it, you work on yourself. Personal development. Because true happiness is not contained in what you get. Happiness is contained in what you become.
You see the cars, the watches, the Miami apartments. Maybe you even saw some of these things in my videos in the past week. Now what if I showed you how people just...
Now, if you're excited and you're ready to change, Let me give you 3 steps to start life change that can change your life, your personality, your lifestyle, everything can change. Here's the steps. Number 1, find out how things work. To change your life, really, you need ideas. There isn't anything an idea can't change. And Schoaf taught me the major problem is lack of an idea, not a problem. At first, I didn't have any money. I said to Mr. Schoaf, I don't have any money. He said, that's not a problem. Now, see, up until then, I always thought it was. Right? I was confused. He said, no, the problem is lack of an idea on how to create money and wealth. It isn't lack of money, it's lack of ideas. So if you get the ideas, see, you can change anything. Now, to get ideas, you need a constant study of finding out. If you wish to be successful, study success. If you wish to be happy, study happiness. If you wish to be wealthy, study wealth. Don't leave it to chance. Make it a study. Some people just go through the day with their fingers crossed. See, that won't do it. You've got to study the things that can change your economic, social, spiritual, personal life. Now, Schoaf also said, when you find out something that works, put the information in your journal. Don't use your head for a filing cabinet. Put it in your journal so that you can do the next best thing. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Go over it. And if you repeat it, go over it, sure enough, someday, some mysterious day, the idea takes root, starts to grow, and shows up in your bank account, and your dress, and your personality, and your lifestyle. Now, if you're curious, let me give you 3 ways to find out how to change anything, any life direction, any dimension. Here's 3 ways to find out how to change anything. Number 1 is to read. All of the successful people I know and work with around the world, they're all good readers. Curiosity drives them to read. They gotta know. They just read. Become self-educated. Standard education will get you standard results. And you can check those numbers and see if that's what you want. But if you want to go beyond that, you now have got to become self-educated. One way to learn is from your own experiences, but another way to learn is from other people's experiences. See, one book might save you 5 years if you read it. Did you know there's books on how to be stronger, more decisive, be a speaker, be a leader, have a better effect on other people, develop your personality? Did you know there's books on that? Did you know that hundreds of successful people have written their stories in books and they wrote down how they did it, and people don't read it? How would you explain that? Now, you don't have to read half the night, but put this in your notes, 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes a day, read something positive, something challenging, something inspirational, something instructional, at least 30 minutes a day. Become a good reader. Now, that's my opinion. Listen to the other lecturers, and listen to me, and make up your own mind. Don't be a follower, be a student. Here's the second way to find out how to change your life. And that's to listen. Get around successful people and listen. Now, you can also learn from unsuccessful people. Take notes on both, negative and positive. Find out what poor people read and don't read it. Right? That's good information. Learn from the negative. But now you can also learn from the positive. Get around successful people. Listen to what they say. Listen to how they say it. It's important. Now, here's some of the best advice I've got for the whole evening. Poor people ought to take rich people out to dinner and listen. That's some of the best I got. But you're right. Poor people don't usually take rich people out to dinner. The guy said he's rich, let him buy his own dinner. I'm not coming up with any money. You're lucky to get your own supper, let alone running around trying to find a rich man to feed. And the guy's behind. If a guy's not doing well, one of the first things he ought to do is find a guy that is doing well and offer to buy him his dinner. Spend $50, $60, $80, $100. Go for the full 9 course. If you get a successful person to eat and talk for 2 hours, they're liable to drop ideas in your lap, change your life. Multiply your income by 2, by 3, by 5. But you're right. Poor people don't usually take rich people out to dinner. Now here's the third way to find out how to change your life, and that's to observe. You can pick up a lot of ideas just by watching. Get around successful people and watch. Here's why. Success leaves clues. Watch how the man shakes hands. Watch how the lady responds. People who do well do certain things over and over and over and over. And if you're clever, you can pick them up. Watch it all. If a guy's making $10,000 a month, I'd watch how he walks. Maybe that's it. Copy his funny little walk. Somebody says, well, that's kind of a silly walk. Say, it's 10,000. I haven't got the money yet, but I got the walk. It's bound to start somewhere. What I ask you tonight is to be unusual and be a good observer of what's going on. You can pick up ideas that can change your life starting tomorrow. Just be a more careful observer. Now remember, there's two ways to see. One is called sight. See with your eyes. The other one is called insight. See with your mind. See with your eyes, you'll see things. See with your mind, you'll see answers. Put your eyes and your mind to work. And the best advice on developing sight and insight is pay attention. Don't miss anything. Wherever you are, be there. Excellent. Now, we've lingered a little bit long on number one here for personal development. Find out how things work, but it's so very important finding out. And I've given you 3 ways to find out. Now, here's the second step to personal development. Okay, number 1 was find out how things work. Here's number 2, go to work. If there's one thing to get excited over, that's it. Get excited over your ability to make yourself do the necessary things. What could you make yourself do starting tomorrow that would change it all? No, tell. Now see, that's exciting. On any given day, you can massively change the direction of your life. Now here's the key to discipline. Start with the little disciplines, get excited over the little disciplines, and get right on those, because those will lead to the big ones. You can't handle the big challenges in life unless you take on the little ones. Make a list of all the things you can do, get right on those, discipline yourself for those, both for the results and for the muscle and for the practice, so that when life hands you some big challenges, you'll be ready, you'll have the muscle. But see, if you don't handle the small ones, you can't take care of the big ones. Here's what else it takes for life change. Self-motivation. Key phrase, self-motivation. I don't know why we call it self-motivation. It's really the only kind there is. You got to motivate yourself. And you don't want to give self-motivation away to somebody else and make it somebody else motivating you. The guy says, boy, if somebody just come by and turn me on. What if they don't show up, right? See, you got to have a better plan for your life. You must now take action on what you found out. Don't let your learning lead to knowledge. You'll become a fool. Let your learning lead to action. You can become wealthy. And there's many kinds of wealth, I understand that, not just money. Money's one of the least of all values.
At Carl's Jr., late birds get the bag. After 8 p.m. for $5.99, get a Cali Classic single, fries.
I know some people with a lot of money that are very poor. Now, here's the third step to personal development, and we'll wrap up personal development. Step number 3, it's just a little caution, and all through life we need little cautions. This one simply says, don't try to beat the system. Find out how it works, work it, but don't try to beat it. Some people learn just enough to start slicing it, shading it, thinning it, cutting corners, and looking for cheap answers. See, don't fall for that. You'll wind up with a cheap life. Find out how it works best and do it that way. Even though it seems to take a little longer, do it right. Don't compromise with right. So if I had a word with you tonight, one-on-one, just you and me, I think my personal advice to you would be, this year, 1981, reach down inside of you and come up with some more of those remarkable human gifts. They're there, waiting to be utilized. And then change anything for you you want to change. And I challenge you to do that because you can change. See, you don't ever have to be the same again after tonight, only by choice. Starting tomorrow, what are you going to do that'll make a change in your life's direction? Good question. What are you going to do starting tomorrow that'll make a difference? Now see, if you don't do something starting tomorrow that'll make a difference, guess what? It's gonna be the same. And see, that way you can guess what the next 5 years are gonna be like. Look at the last 5. Because the next 5 are gonna be like the last 5 unless you, major key, tomorrow, change it all. Or change a little, or change something, or don't change. It's choice time. You can do whatever you want. But it's nice to know any day you wish you can change your whole life. I want you to ponder these 4 questions. Here's the first one, and that's why. Why pay the price? Why work this hard? Why go this far? Why try to learn this much? Why try to do it all? Why try to see it all? Why try to have it all? Why do it? Why learn it? Why study? Why put yourself out? Why try to take on this much responsibility? Why develop yourself to the full? Why try to become all that you can possibly become? Why try to earn as much as you can earn, share as much as you can share, develop every skill you possibly can, see every human you possibly can, go to every class you possibly can, touch everybody you possibly can? Why do that much? Why go that far? Why share that much? Why give that much away? Why try to see everything? Why try to do everything? Why try to become everything? That's a good question, why? And you're the only one personally that can answer that question for yourself. You've got to have your own list of whys. Here's what I want you to do when you go home after you've left this extravaganza. Work on your list of whys. One of the big thrusts for success is to come up with a strong enough why. In leadership training, here's what we learn. If the why is powerful, the how is easy. But if the why isn't strong, if your goals aren't powerful, if the vision isn't clear, the old prophet said, without a vision we die, without a vision we perish, without a dream we're nothing. From the movie The Professionals, I listened to Bill Heron give his testimony yesterday. From the movie The Professionals, it said, we joined because we believed. We stayed because we were committed. We left because we were disillusioned. But we came back because we were lost. Without a dream, we are nothing. I'm asking you to sit down with your family and develop a dream strategy. I'm asking you to make a list of what you want. What kind of health do you want? What kind of skills do you want? What kind of income do you want? What kind of gifts do you wish to bestow? What kind of power would you like to have? What kind of influence would you like to have? I'm asking you to go home and work on the why. Spend some time as you fly over the clouds and over the ocean back to where you came from. I'm asking you to have a vision by the time you've reached home of why for you, why you want this kind of income, why you want this kind of recognition and these kinds of skills. I'm asking you to develop your own list of why. Now here's number 2. The first question to ponder when you go home is why. Here's another good answer to why. It's the second question. Why not? Why not see how much you can earn? Why not see how much you can learn? Why not see how many skills you can develop? Why not see what kind of person you can become? Why not see what kind of influence you can have? Why not see how many people you can rescue from oblivion? Why not see how many people you can reach? I want you to give thoughtful consideration to your goals. And why not? If a farm boy can wander out of Idaho and finally arrive at this extravaganza, why not you? If it's happened for you, why not others? And why not you? I want you to take that personal. Why not? Why not? You've got to stay here till you go. I mean, what else are you gonna do? Why not see how much you can do, how far you can go? Now here's number 3. Why not you? I wish I could say that to each of you individually, but it would take a couple of lifetimes to sit down and talk with each of you individually. But I would rather do that. I'd rather sit down and talk with you and your family with the fire burning in the living room than to be standing on this platform. That's my true desire. I'd love to talk to you and your children face to face. That's what I'd really like to do. I'd love to spend a couple of days with each of you personally and pour out my heart, my soul, what's going on in my head, what's going on with me, see if we couldn't connect and find something valuable. But time doesn't permit for us to have those intimate conversations and get to know each other that well, so I've got to do it from up here. But I want you to take it personal. And my personal question to you is, why not you? You've got the brains, you can make decisions, you can study the plan, you can change your life, you can grow immensely in the next few years, you can make your dreams come true, you can build a financial wall around your family nothing can get through, you can become healthy, you can become powerful. Why not you? And now here's my last question, my very last question on the questions to ponder is, why not now? There never was a better time. And what a time now for us to take this dream and not let it die. Take this dream and give it life. Take this dream and breathe into it your own personal spirit until finally it becomes a flame that burns around the whole world. Let's go do it now.
This game, you're not ready for it.
Mr. Shelf put it to me this way. He said, Jim, if you had enough reasons, you could do the most incredible things. I never forgot how he put that. If you have enough reasons. See, reasons will change your whole life. Mr. Shelf said to me, he said, Mr. Rohn, I think you've got plenty of intelligence, you've got plenty of talent, you've got plenty of ability. Probably what you lack is plenty of reasons. He said, I don't think your current bank balance is a true indication of your level of intelligence. I was happy to hear that. He said, I think you're much smarter than your present bank balance indicates. And that turned out to be true. I was much smarter. But of course, my first question was, well, then why isn't it bigger? And he said, you don't have enough reasons. You've got enough intelligence, but not enough reasons. So see, reasons can change your life. Here's what else I found out. Reasons come first, answers come second. You don't get the answers to do well till you get the reasons. Life has a mysterious way of hanging on to all the answers and only gives them up to the people that are inspired by reasons. So reasons make the difference in how your life works out. Now, what are some of the reasons for doing well? Let's go through a quick list called Reasons for Doing Well. First is personal reasons. Some people do well for recognition. Some people do well for respect. Some people do well for the way it makes them feel. They love the feeling of being a winner. Those are good reasons. I have some millionaire friends that keep working 10, 12 hours a day, making more millions. And it's not because they need the money. It's because they need the joy and the satisfaction and the pleasure that comes from being a constant winner. And see, it's not just the money anyway. It's the journey, not the money. Once in a while, somebody says to me, boy, if I had $1 million, I'd never work another day in my life. That's probably why the good Lord sees to it they don't get their million, right? They'd quit. They'd quit. Okay. Next is family reasons. Some people do extremely well for other people, and that's powerful. Human beings can greatly affect each other. Sometimes we will do things for somebody else we will not do for ourselves. We're made that way. I met a man one time who said, Mr. Rohn, to do all the things I want to do with my family around the world, he said, I got to have at least $250,000 a year. I thought, incredible. Could a guy's family affect him that much? And the answer is, of course. How fortunate are the people that find themselves greatly affected by somebody for personal achievement. And we are affected. The writer of a recent song said, if not for you, the winter would hold no spring, couldn't hear a robin sing. I just wouldn't have a clue if not for you. So we can be affected. That might be one of the most stimulating reasons to do well, finding somebody. When Andrew Carnegie died, the wee little Scotsman that built the big steel industry, when he died, they opened up his desk, and in one of the desk drawers, they found a slip of paper. On that piece of paper, Mr. Carnegie had written his goal for his life, and he wrote it when he was in his 20s. And on that piece of paper, it said, I'm going to spend the first half of my life accumulating money. I'm going to spend the last half of my life giving it all away. What a goal. He got so inspired by that goal that the first half of his life, he accumulated $450 million. And the last half of his life, he gave it all away. Good question tonight. What's got you turned on? What's got you bombed out of sight to get up early and stay up late and hit it all day? Next question. What's got you turned off? When I found the answers to those two questions, my life exploded into change. I finally found out what had me turned off, and I got that cured. And then I got me a long enough list of reasons to turn me on. And once the lights went on for me, age 25, they've never gone out. I've fallen out of the sky a few times, but I've never lost that drive to make something unique out of my life. See, reasons altered my whole life. Now, there's another list of reasons called nitty-gritty. Hard little reasons. Sometimes those little reasons are the most powerful reasons that can change your life. Sometimes it doesn't take much. I now carry several $100s in my money clip. It's only a few $100s, but it was one of those reasons turned my life around. Just before I met Mr. Shoaf, I heard a knock at the door. I go to the door, and there's a little girl standing there about this tall selling Girl Scout cookies. And she gave me one of the finest sales presentations I've ever heard. Special deal, several flavors, this whole package of stuff, $2. And with a big smile, she very politely asked me to buy. And I wanted to. Big problem. I'm broke. I don't have $2. And to this day, I can remember the pain and the embarrassment. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I've been to college, I'm working, I'm 25, I don't have $2. And I didn't want to tell her that for some reason. So I did what I thought was next best. I lied to her. I said, hey, look, I've already bought lots of Girl Scout cookies. I've still got plenty stacked in the house, which was not true. But it seemed to get me off the hook for the moment. She said, well, gosh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. And she went away. When she left, I closed the door, and that was the day I said to myself, I don't want to live like this anymore. I've had it with lying, and I've had it with being broke. I'm never going to let this happen to me ever again. I promised that day I would work as hard as possible and would always carry plenty. It took me a little while, but now I do. It was one of those reasons. And I guess I carry plenty for two reasons. One is the way it makes me feel, but also in case I bump into another Girl Scout selling cookies. Right? I'm ready.
Okay, chat. I paint this today. I'm not my bad. I'm not gonna finish this today, but I'm gonna come back tomorrow and we're gonna finish this. Yeah, thank you everybody for being with me this whole time. Again, guys, just follow your gift, work on yourself, and I promise you everything gonna change. Your life will be changed. Follow your gift, man. Follow your gift. Everything gonna be okay in your life.